Hello and welcome back to my channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking drugstore foundations. And not only are these drugstore foundations that I love, but these are drugstore foundations I would pay high-end prices for. If tomorrow any of these brands changed the prices of these foundations to high-end prices, $40, $50, I would still shell out the cash to purchase these formulas because I love them that much. They aren't just good for the drugstore, these are some of the highest quality foundations I own, and I own both drugstore and high-end. If it wasn't for the name on the bottle, you'd never know that they were bought at the drugstore. We're gonna go in order of finishes. These first couple are more of a natural dewy finish, then we're gonna move into true natural finishes, and then more towards natural matte. I don't have any completely dewy and I don't have any completely matte because I like my foundation somewhere on that spectrum, but not too far one direction or the other. But I will call out the finishes if you have preferences or if your skin doesn't like certain types of foundations. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. Probably the dewiest and the best for dry skin out of all of the ones I'm going to mention. And this is not only drugstore, this is sold at Dollar General. This is the Believe Beauty Skin Finish Foundation. This is one of the most beautiful foundations on the market. It even looks pretty. It's got nice kind of gold packaging. I have mine in the shade Buff, and this retails for $5. This is a gorgeous, extremely blendable formula. It melts into the skin like absolute butter and provides a nice full coverage. I would say first application is more like medium coverage, but it is buildable. You can see how opaque this is. This is my non-self-tan shade. You're gonna see quite the shade range as I'm swatching these. But it feels really dewy and moisturizing to the touch, but then it does set down. Perfect foundation for events, for fuller coverage if you do have a drier skin type. This has no business being $5. I've loved this for a very, very long time, and it continues to compete with all of the new fresh products being put on the market right now. All right, next up is another kind of event makeup natural to dewy finish. This is the Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation. I have this in the shade 485. I'm not sure what that's called, but the shade is 485. This is my self-tan shade. This again has a pump applicator. This is not $5, but it's still much better than a lot of high-end prices. This is medium to full coverage. It has an SPF of 25, but there's no flashback. And it's also non-comedogenic, so sensitive skin friendly. This one is less dewy than the Believe Beauty foundation, but I would say it's still definitely dry skin friendly. This has a little bit of a thinner, high pigment formula. The Believe one feels a little bit thicker, which is what gives it that dewy moisturizer type radiant finish. This one feels really thin in consistency and is one of those foundations where when you have it on, it doesn't feel like you're wearing a super heavy foundation, but you're getting that really full coverage. So this is a great one for most skin types. I would say if you're really oily, you will get shiny wearing this, but it's still gonna look flawless if you blot. If you have drier skin, use a moisturizing primer. This will look beautiful. Normal skin, you're gonna love it. This is one of my most recommended foundations when I get asked in my DMs on Instagram for events, for weddings, things like that, where you want your foundation to look natural in person, but you also want it to look very flawless and photograph well. This is one of those foundations that's always a go-to recommendation for me. All right, next category is natural, more everyday type of foundations that I adore. The first one is great for more mature skin. This is the L'Oreal Age Perfect Radiant Serum Foundation Sunscreen. I have mine in the shade 35. I have this in a couple of different shades. This has a broad spectrum SPF of 50, but if you compare this to like the IT Cosmetics CC cream, this has a much thinner, almost serum consistency to it. So it feels a lot more lightweight, but it still provides really great coverage. It feels very thin in consistency, but you can see as I'm blending, it's really not losing a lot of coverage, but a little bit more of my skin is showing through than it did with the last two more full coverage foundations. This has vitamin B3 and a hydrating serum infused in it. It's suitable for sensitive skin. It claims that it evens your skin tone without settling into fine lines. Like I said, this is called Age Perfect and it's targeted toward a more mature audience, but this is beautiful on all different types of skin. It claims to be anti-aging and smoothing, and it does have glycolic acid in it. And this one retails for $12.99. So still a really great price point, and I would pay far more for it. All right, next up, you knew this one would make an appearance. This is another L'Oreal foundation, and this is the L'Oreal True Match Hyaluronic Tinted Serum Foundation. You guys know how I feel about this dropper applicator. That is the one downside to this. So if this ever did get marked up to $40, I would hope that they would put a pump on it, but you can buy them on Amazon and change them out if it really bothers you. This retails for $14.99, has 1% hyaluronic acid in it, and luminous mineral pigments to provide a lightweight coverage for a brightened complexion. Comes in 14 radiant shades that blend to a variety of skin tones. I would say this is a true natural finish. It claims to have radiant pigments, but I would say this truly is a natural finish, like skin looking finish. It doesn't give a ton of shine and dewiness. It also doesn't mattify at all. It just is your skin but better, but with good coverage. It's not a skin tint. A lot of people see this and think it's going to be very sheer, but it is not. It is a true foundation and it provides beautiful coverage. You could wear this during the day with a really light layer, or you could wear this on an evening out, because you can build this up to be a full medium coverage. I have the shades light medium, I have the shade medium, I also have the shade tan. I'm all over the place depending on whether or not I'm self-tanned, and I always want to be able to wear this whether or not I have a self-tan on, so I have several of them. The one thing I will say, if you've ever struggled with this foundation, is that the dropper can be frustrating because it's really important that you shake this product. So if you have a bunch of product sitting in the actual dropper and then you shake it and then you go in on your face with the product that was sitting in the dropper that was not shaken, you're not getting the freshest product. So what I would recommend is making sure your dropper is completely emptied, shaking it really well, and then filling up your dropper with the fresh shaken product. Beautiful product. Again, the packaging needs improvement, but other than that, I think it's perfect. All right, next up is, if you ask me today what foundation I'm reaching for the most, it would be this one. This is the Neutrogena Sensitive Skin Serum Healthy Skin Foundation. This also has a dropper style applicator, but somehow they got it right. This one is not messy at all. It is made for sensitive skin. It's non-comedogenic. It has no alcohol, no fragrance, no dyes, and it has pro vitamin B5. This retails for $16, so it is on the pricier side, but I really love this product. If alcohol is an irritant for you, this one does have alcohol as a part of the ingredient list. It does not bother me, but this one does not. So if you are looking for an alternative to this without alcohol in it, this is a good, super sensitive skin friendly one. And it is another your skin but better type of foundation with a really natural finish. If I had to compare, I would say this one might be a little bit less dewy than this one. I wouldn't call either of them dewy, but like just comparing the two finishes, this one is a little bit more on the true natural side. I don't want to call it semi-matte or anything like that, but it is just, it's very natural. You're not going to get a ton of dew out of this one. This one does have lighter coverage than the L'Oreal one, so it's more of like a skin tint type of feeling, but you can build it up to like a light medium coverage, not as much as you can build up the L'Oreal one. My go-to right now for just everyday skin that looks like skin, and especially while my skin is getting used to a retinol and very vulnerable, I want to use something that is made for very sensitive skin, and this has been working wonders. All right, now moving on to the more matte leaning foundations. I'm going to start with the least matte of the three and then move to the most matte. All right, first up is the Catrice True Skin Foundation. I have fallen in love with this even more than what I used to love the most, which is their HD liquid coverage. I think because my skin is not as oily as it used to be, this one just complements my skin better now. But this is a hydrating foundation with hyaluronic acid. It's a long wear foundation. So this is under $10 on Amazon. This is $9.50. I have the shade Warm Beige. It claims to provide a medium to high coverage to gently conceal imperfections and redness, leaving a feathery light texture and an incomparable real skin finish. It has hyaluronic acid and watermelon seed oil for hydration. Comes in 20 different shades. I've made this comparison before. I would say this reminds me a lot of Estee Lauder Double Wear. Very thin, watery formula with a semi-matte finish and a lot of coverage. See, it's a nice thin formula. Then as you blend it out, there's some serious coverage there. This feels like skin, but then once it dries down, it does have a little bit of a matte finish to it. So this is one of my go-to recommendations for more mature, oily skin, because you don't want something that's super matte that's gonna really settle into fine lines. You want something that's like natural leaning matte, so that you get the benefits of a matte finish, but without it looking crusty or cakey at all. I love the pump style packaging on this. I've had this one for a long time. In fact, it's probably time for me to buy a new one because foundations do expire. I would say if you have extremely dry skin, this and the other two I'm going to talk about may not be as flattering as some of the others I've mentioned earlier on, but if you have normal to oily skin, this is a gorgeous, gorgeous product. All right, these next two are for people that like more of a matte finish. Neither of these are gonna be like L'Oreal Pro Matte and look super, super matte, but they are matte foundations, but they are still flattering. So the first is new to me. This was another Amazon find. This is the Profusion Feel Good Skin Longwear Skin Perfector. I would say out of all of the ones that I'm gonna mention, this one and the last one are the two longest lasting foundations. Like if I am gonna be sweating, I'm gonna be at a wedding or a barbecue or somewhere and I want my foundation to not budge, these are the ones I'm going with. I don't always love a matte finish, but when I need my foundation to last, I know that that's where I need to start because my oils will start coming through and it won't look so matte by the end of the day. So these would be my starting points for situations like that. So this one has hyaluronic acid, medium to full coverage, and a natural satin matte finish. I have the shade Tan 1. It's a great shade. I like the packaging. It's really nice and sleek, so it's great for travel because you can stack it really easily. This just twists off and then it's a nice clean squeeze tube. This has a thicker consistency than all of the other ones that I've shown you so far, a little bit more on like the moussey side, but still a liquid. But you can tell that this is gonna be a matte foundation. This one retails for, are you ready for it? $5.58, at least right now, it's $6 on Amazon. It is truly one of the best foundations I have ever put on my face. It's oil-free and it claims to stay true up to 24 hours. I haven't tested it for 24 hours, but definitely 12. It says to apply with a brush or with your fingertips. And I do find that this applies best with a brush. So really great, long wear matte foundation that doesn't look cakey, but lasts a really long time. And then last but not least is a TikTok find and another extremely affordable one. And this just shows that dollar amounts do not equal quality because I have some really expensive foundations that I don't love as much as some of these $5 foundations. And this is the one that I am currently wearing. This is Hard Candy Glamoflauge. This is a full coverage, wears for hours, oil-free formula. This is a Walmart find. Same price as the Profusion one at just under $6. I have the shade Warm Honey, and this has a doe foot style applicator. So very similar to like the Clinique foundation. And this one does feel kind of like a thicker liquid. And then as you blend it out, you can quickly feel that it's becoming a matte foundation. This one you want to blend somewhat quickly because it will set down, and once it sets down, it is not moving. I mean, that's part of why I love it, but you don't want to kind of go slowly with blending this foundation because you might end up creating streaks if you just let it sit on your face for too long before getting it to where it needs to go. So this claims to be a 16-hour foundation, morning, noon, and night, a hydrating medium coverage formula, lightweight and breathable. You can see there's a theme here. They all don't feel super heavy on the skin, but yet they last a really long time. Transfer proof, water resistant, and matte finish for all day long. A formula that won't settle into fine lines or wrinkles. Another one very similar to the Profusion description. I like these for the same reason. I like them for very long lasting, bulletproof makeup that I would use on a bride because they are that long lasting. They're more matte, so if you have oily skin and you want that longevity, I would say go with this one or Profusion over even L'Oreal Infallible. These are gonna last longer and look more flattering on your skin because they're gonna kind of keep some of that oil at bay for a while at least. And when it does start coming through, it's not gonna break down the foundation because they're sort of built for that. I would say choosing between the two, this one provides a tiny bit more coverage and is a tiny bit more matte. This one is a little bit more natural matte and lighter coverage. So it just kind of depends on what you're looking for there, but you cannot go wrong with either. And that is everything. Those are all of the drugstore foundations that I would personally pay high-end prices for because I love them that much and I think that they are that high quality. So hopefully by the description of these foundations, you found one that may work for you, or you see one of your favorites in this video. Let me know in the comments below what drugstore foundation that you would pay any price for. We'll keep it our little secret. I don't want these brands catching on, but I just find it fun to do these types of videos just as a reminder. I don't talk about affordable makeup within the context of affordable makeup, that I genuinely love these products despite the fact that they are affordable. But thank you guys so much for watching. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I can do this for more categories, and I will see you guys in my next one.